Have yourself a very Merry Christmas. Hi Ride On people, very Merry Christmas to you. I hope that this year is good for you and you get everything that you want. Now I don't fancy yours much. Nice legs, shame about the boat race. Well, that's what we typically say in my home country of England when something isn't particularly aesthetically pleasing. And I think it's fair to say it was quite a shock to most people when the Cybertruck was launched by Elon. It looked absolutely nothing like the confirmed internet renderings of that particular truck. And you may have seen it, but I posted a video saying how very, very disappointed I was and quite upset about the whole thing, and I thought it was some kind of big joke and a huge mistake. But I've ordered one. So why the U-turn?
The spec was always right in terms of its claimed performance, its expected functionality and its advertised pricing, but the unconventional looks caused pangs of potential poor residual anxiety. But then the more we begin to understand its features, from a remote powered tonneau that can be replaced with a solar panel option to 3-across seating, the more it began to appeal. Somebody was smart enough to quickly render up a matte black version of the Tesla Cybertruck, and they tweeted Elon that maybe it would look pretty good if that was available as an option. Elon tweeted back, sure, and so everybody's treating that as a yes, confirmed Tesla will be producing a matte black version. I'm not sure they will accommodate that, but it certainly changed the look from the silver, which in its raw stainless steel looks much more space moon rover to more kind of badass zombie apocalypse mercenary bug out truckster in a matte black version. I decided to see what a Cybertruck would look like if it was sat in my garage, and it does actually fit. I can kind of walk around this 3D rendering, and I have a few inches at each end, but it's definitely tight, and the summon command would come in handy on occasions with that, I'm sure. Essentially its size is basically within a gnat's whisker of an F-150 Raptor. But if in terms of its kind of width and length. And when I put a Raptor in my garage, it was tight fit, but it did fit. And when I compare now photos of that F-150 and the rendering of the Cybertruck, one thing really strikes me is that the F-150 Raptor is the biggest and baddest production truck currently available, and yet next to the Cybertruck it looks pretty old-fashioned. I think it's kind of it's surprising how quickly you get used to an unconventional design and how quickly it can date older designs, particularly those that are very kind of boxy. So it was an interesting thought. So within just 5 days of the launch, I think Tesla claimed that they have 250,000 deposit holders. I think Elon actually tweeted that. Now, of course, they only asked for $100 deposit, not like $1,200 or a similar amount that they were asking for the Model 3 or the Model Y, for instance, or that Ford is asking for the Mark E Mustang, for instance. And the primary reason for that is pretty obvious, really. They want to be able to say, look, we've sold 250,000 trucks in just 5 days. I think probably half those deposit holders will ultimately drop out, but it's still very impressive. And from my perspective, I kind of figured that it may be good to have quite a few people ahead of you in the queue. You may wait longer for your truck, which is not so cool in terms of showing it off to your friends, but in terms of having fewer production problems with that particular vehicle, and it is a completely new platform, then that's probably no bad thing. It's definitely a function over form machine, but ultimately it should deliver as a practical, fast and incredibly safe truck to conduct your daily business in. Some things clearly have to change for production reasons. A clear windscreen, obviously tinting the front windscreen is illegal. I didn't notice any windscreen wipers. Mirrors may have to be added if the rules and regs boys don't approve cameras. Now the Audi e-tron was the first to try and get a rear-facing camera for a replacement for the side mirrors on the e-tron, but I don't think that's been approved yet. I'm sure in the timeline we have prior to launch of the Cybertruck, that'll probably be approved. They're probably going to have different beadlock style wheels, I would say, as well. And as mentioned, there could be some paint options. Stainless steel is likely to show scratches and probably form some kind of patina from road salt, particularly for those in the north of the country. Additionally, it's been much mentioned about crumple zones or pedestrian-friendly bumpers, at the front and rear to improve crash test ratings if human beings are run into. So it'd be interesting to see whether they are able to change that, or one thing I thought about they may do is potentially increase the weight to class it as a purely commercial vehicle to get around some of those rules and regs which are a little bit more lenient on the commercial vehicle side, I believe. But all of those changes will typically make it look much more mainstream, more normal, or simply more acceptable, for want of a better description, of how we currently perceive pickup trucks should look like, aesthetically speaking. So what does all this mean? Well, I really thought about it for several days before deciding, like most deposit holders, to slap down my $100. The low deposit request and impressive reservation numbers are obviously for the free marketing purposes, but ultimately I expect at least half of the holders to eventually request a refund on their option to buy, and the other half to obviously go through with their purchase. Much can happen in the next 2 years before production, as many models from many manufacturers come online, not least the Rivian TR1 and the Ford F-150 EV. Both will be mainstream competitors. So the Cybertruck won't be for everyone, but by the time it arrives, the looks won't be so shocking to anyone, and it may well have spawned its own angular imitators. I predict the Cybertruck has probably under-promised, and the reality will over-deliver by the time it arrives, both in terms of its timeline to delivery and also what it actually offers. Its initial residual value should be extremely high, and it has the potential to become a cult classic. And it's for these reasons I'm having to eat a bit of pie and say I have a deposit placed on a Cybertruck in tri-motor guise with full self-driving option. Well, in for a penny. Well, if you still think the Cybertruck is ugly and it's not for you, I don't blame you. It's a personal choice. Or if you love it but your wife won't let you buy one, I understand that as well. So whatever you do, whatever you buy, have a great Christmas and a very happy New Year.